Okay, so here's the seal. So this is for the left-hand side. This is for a manual gearbox. I suspect the automatic is actually different. Manual gearbox, all-wheel drive, left-hand shaft. So there's the part number. Hopefully you can see that. Here's the two shafts. You can see I've actually got his brand new aftermarket shaft, and it was very reasonably priced. It was from Rock Auto. It was only it's like $56 Canadian. Unbelievable. So they are dimensionally they look to be the same, which I'm happy to report. And here's actually the part number. And again, left hand side, manual gearbox, all-wheel drive. So because it says 0 to 1 millimeter recessed, just actually pop it back. And there is actually, so be aware of that, there is actually no shoulder on that. And you can actually pop that all the way back, so where it could actually cause you grief. You don't want to set that too deep. So, as the drawing says, 0 to 1 millimeter, 0 being flush. That's maybe just sitting a wee tiny bit below. That should be adequate. Okay, so I'm just going to put a wee bit of lubrication where the seal actually and the shaft itself actually meet, of course, just so we don't damage the seal on the way in. And we'll see if we can actually get this inserted. Okay, so circlip is there, of course, it's a new shaft. Line up the splines. Circlip is hanging up a wee bit. There we go. And check it by pulling back a wee bit. You can see, you can actually hear it as well as feel it, that it is in fact locked in. So because on occasion the splines do get stuck, I'm just going to anti-seize the splines a wee bit. Okay, so I'm just cleaning the back side, where the shaft actually interfaces with the bearing and the hub itself. You can see if we can pop in. Okay, let's see if we can struggle with this. So as I mentioned, do not reuse that nut. A new nut is a must. Okay, pull it back, give yourself as much space as you can, and then hopefully the splines will line up. There we go. Yes. Come on. See here? Catch this side. It's coming through there. Okay, good. So we're going to try and line up the ball joint with the steering knuckle. Accommodate the pinch bolt, of course. So I've actually cleaned the bottom of the steering knuckle already. The hole's nice and clear. And if we have any luck at all, that should go in relatively easy. He says, sure to curse yourself with a statement like that. There we go.
Yeah.
One in?
Yeah, one in now.
Okay. Let me get a mallet, Stevie. We'll give it a wee tap. Okay, so we're ready to put the pinch bolt in. The pinch bolt in goes from the aft side. There is no nut. The steering knuckle itself is threaded on the leading edge. So we've got the bolt cleaned up. It's actually Loctited. So go ahead, Stevie, put that in. The most important, sorry son, let me just make a point here. The most important part of this job, make sure the slot in the ball joint is all the way in the correct position so that the bolt will slide through. That's probably the single most important part of this job. Make sure make sure the neck and the ball joint taper is actually up in the hole, so the bolt will slide through and catch it. Okay, go ahead. You understand that, son?
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's not, you're not going to be able to thread the bolt in anyway, but just to make the point. If you're having difficulties with the bolt, make sure that it's actually in the correct position. Okay, so the pinch bolt's secured on the bottom side of the ball joint. Okay, so just put the wheel speed sensor harness back in the clip there, son. Just push it back in.
That's good.
That's it, good. Okay, and now the caliper, sorry, the brake line, where it goes onto the bracket, the bolt, 12mm bolt.
That's not lined up.
So get the plastic back in place. Okay, so we're just going to thread back on the axle nut, the outboard axle nut. We'll just snug it up. We'll put the wheel back on, and then we'll actually torque it and cock it once the weight is back on the wheels of the car. Okay, so just a final inspection before we put it all back together. Circlip is locked in on the differential, and we've got it fed through here. It's just hand tightened at the moment. We've got more than hand tight, but no quite final torque. We'll do that once we have the weight back on wheels, the wheels back on, and the weight on wheels of the car. The plastic's all back in place. The line, brake line, and the ABS wiring all back in place. So. Okay, just snug them up. We'll final torque them once the car's on the ground. Yeah, go on the star pattern. Star pattern. That's it. Okay, jack it up, Stevie. We'll remove the jack stance. A little bit more. Okay, a little bit more, Stevie. Good. Stand right. That's just the one side. Okay, drop it down. Okay, so I'm just gonna remove the intake plenum here, just so I get access and focus on this, Stevie. Right down here on the gearbox itself, right at the bottom there. Can you see my finger? No, really?
Kinda.
Right at the bottom there is actually where the plug is. Fill plug for the gearbox. So let me remove that. As I said, we just fill it until we get a wee bit coming at the fill port, and then that's at the correct level. Make sense? Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to put a wee bit of thread sealer on the plug here, just for insurance. And we'll just snug that up. Torque on the axle nut, item F, is 200 Newton meters. That'd be 145 foot-pounds to you and me. Do not reuse that nut. Right there, so we can see. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're going to cock this over. You can see here it's got a flange on the lock nut, and you have to, of course, beat that into the slot. Or cock it, as the manual says. Just an additional locking feature. I like to do it on both sides. Okay, that'll do. It should look something like that when you're done, Stevie. Okay, we'll torque the wheels, and that's it. So we're just torquing up the wheels to the final torque spec here. I'm not going to give you torque spec. The manual, the spec that's in the manual is a wee bit too low for my liking. I've had them come loose twice on me, so I'll leave it up to your discretion. The torque value, I use a standard torque that I torque the wheels to, but because it's not the same as the manual, I'm not going to bother mentioning it. Good. Okay, Stevie, good job. Okay, so everything went okay with the drive shaft, so that'll be it for this installment. But there's plenty wrong with this car. The water pump is gone, and I've got issues with the struts. It's getting old. It really needs a lot of attention, so we'll be back at it before too long, and hopefully I can get this guy in it as well. Okay, cheers.